Everyone, welcome back to At the Buzzer. I'm joined as always by Jack Tyrion. Jack, how you doing?
Brian, doing good. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So Ryan and I talked about March Madness yesterday. I guess at the time of when this will come out, it's a couple days ago. So we're gonna shift focus back into the NBA and shift even more focus onto the Eastern Conference and kind of do a little pickup of where we're standing right now. So do you want to kind of take it from there? Give me your thoughts on the Eastern Conference as this season begins to really wind down.
Yeah, I think you covered it, right? We're kind of past the apex at this point. We're past the All-Star break. The playoff rosters, not even rosters, really, just the playoff standings are starting to sort of take shape. I think at a very high level, we have a team that is a clear juggernaut when it comes to at least the regular season. And there's a little bias showing there in the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I think from there, you've got a very clear 2 and 3. And I think pretty much everything after that is sort of a crapshoot, quite frankly. So I think obviously Cavs number one, obviously Celtics, your reigning champions are number two, but 6.5 games gap between the Cavs and the Celtics is a pretty big number. So sort of interesting to see the dynamic going into the playoffs and sort of what people are thinking about who is really going to go far and who frankly is going to come out of the East.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised because it's like, okay, in my head, it's like I know the Cavs are up on the Celtics, and then it's like, damn, the Cavs have been having a tremendous season.
Yeah, they have. I think I don't know how many winning streaks of 20 games, but they were like right there each time. I think what is nice to see is that 2 of those losses are to the Celtics, right? Well, they have
Right.
1 win on us, but if nothing else, at least we're built to compete against them. I do think, and I know they knew what they were doing, but when they acquired DeAndre Hunter from Atlanta, that was sort of like the guy you can either stick in as a spot start or like off the bench, that sort of like hybrid 6-man fringe starting player who can come in and be a 3-and-D type of guy, which obviously against the Celtics, who are like based on superstar wings, you need somebody who can come in and kind of shut that down. So it was very clear that that was we're going to compete with Boston. That's what it comes down to. But yeah, I mean, 6.5 games up on the Celtics, who are also, I think we talked about it before we recorded, like they're 50-19 right now, right?
Yeah,
So
they're having a great season in their own right.
they're doing okay. Yeah, they're doing okay. That's not a bad thing by any means. They've got some fairly, I don't want to say winnable games coming up, but they do. And frankly, when you're the Celtics or even when you're the Cavs, a lot of the games you're having are winnable games. So I think it's a matter of how are their paths going to meet in the playoffs. I think it's fairly set right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this was your Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I think, frankly, like you're looking at New York, who plays pretty poorly against the Celtics. Again, as a Celtics fan, like that's what we see a lot of. I don't think the Pacers are great. I think that you'll look even at the 4, 5, 6 slot in the standings, and you've got Indiana, Milwaukee, and Detroit. Surprise. I think that's a cool storyline to think about, and kind of where JB Bickerstaff has taken that team. You could argue that they should have won against Oklahoma City the other night. I will not die on that hill necessarily, but it did seem like, I mean, JB got fined. If you haven't seen that interview, highly recommend it. Go look at JB Bickerstaff's post-game OKC interview. He's like throwing things and like slamming on the table. He's like, if they just officiated us fairly, like we could have won. So the Shea foul baiting, I think, is starting to take sort of a toll on a lot of coaches. You know that there's discourse on it on NBA Twitter, which doesn't mean much, frankly. There's discourse on everything on NBA Twitter. But when it comes to the foul baiting that Shea is sort of doing, when he's a very talented player, and I think if you take that away from him, it makes him a lot more likable. So that's a little Western Conference pivot, Brian. But
I mean, Les, when the Celtics played the Thunder had 35 free throws. The Celtics had 12.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing.
Is that going to be the same way in the playoffs? I think is the question. And if it is, do we have a Shea problem? Do we have a James Harden a la 2016 problem? You know, like that's, for me, that's, I said it then. I said it when Joel Embiid did the same thing when he plays basketball. I hate that style of play. It's just, it slows the pace down. It's not really fun. It's sort of like, okay, if this is my primary goal from driving to the basket, basically, or like trying to put my body on a defender, like, am I even playing basketball at that point? Or am I just like drawing for contact? And it's so obnoxious. That's a hill I will die on.
Yeah, the worst style of basketball. I think we did a whole like segment pretty recently,
We
right?
did.
Where we're just like, if you want to complain about the three ball, no, this is what will kill people's interest in basketball way quicker because it's like, what's the point of watching this? Um, but yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Pistons. I mean, like
Yeah,
you said, a surprise season. They were so bad last year, Jack.
they were really bad.
How have they turned it around this quickly?
I think it's one player. I think what it comes down to is somebody who got injured very early last season, and Cade Cunningham was an all-star this year, knew he was going to be a really good player, clearly took the time to hone his craft when he was healthy in the offseason, and came back looking better than ever. Like he's a dude that leads that team. I think credit to Asar Thompson as well, who is, playing also very well, like defensive on-ball pressure type of guy. They are a good team. They're just young. So you think about from a consistency standpoint, how are they going to hold up in the playoffs? I don't know for very long, but it's going to be a really good experience for them to get in. What's nice is as of right now, they are not in the play-in, so they don't have to worry about the nerves maybe of that. They've got a 7-game series to worry about first, and they can deal with that. Granted, you've got 3 teams with 38 wins, so it's gonna be a little like we'll see what happens at the end of the year. And frankly, unless New York just like has a pretty shitty like last way to end their regular season, I think they're kind of locked in as the 3. So 4, 5, 6 are anybody's game depending on where they land. I don't think it's. I mean, quite frankly, like you look at the 1 and 2, and even the 3 seed for some of these teams, and you're like, we're not beating them anyway. So it's sort of okay. Does it really matter? Again, maybe not. Depends on maybe you're playing for a matchup if you're those bottom seeds. I think Detroit overall, though, Cade Cunningham really had a resurgence, obviously coming back from an injury and playing at an all-star caliber this year, which he has, I think, rightfully deserved for sure.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I don't like that I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, well, wait till they get to the playoffs. They're not going to win a championship. It's like they're building, like
Right.
they're trying to get better each year. They're not necessarily going to compete for a title this year. That's fine. They might win a series,
They might.
or they might go to 7 in a series. Like that's progress. So I think we've gotten a little out of whack with the, rings are the only thing that matters and the only
Yes.
thing you can find enjoyment in,
So accurate. I think if you're a Detroit fan, you know that they're not going to win a championship this year. And if
Yeah,
you
but
if
that's
you
okay.
think that that's okay, exactly, it's okay. You know what they're building towards. This will be great experience for them. The average age on that roster's got to be like, I don't know, aside from Dennis Schroeder, probably like 22 years old. Like
Right.
that's a win in and of itself, quite frankly. And they've got their oh man, I forgot his name already because he's been out of the picture for so long. But they have like Jalen Duren. Oh, Jaden Ivey is the one who's out, and he hurt himself at the beginning of the year, and he's been out since. So like that's another guy who's going to come back next year. Hopefully, have a sort of Cade Cunningham resurgence. Let JB Bickerstaff kind of lead this team and direct this team from a maturity standpoint, and say, okay, now maybe next year we have a little bit more of a real shot.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to look at it. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit of shit about the Heat.
Oh, let's do it.
I figured you'd be up for it.
Of course.
So 29 and 39, 1 and 9 in their last 10, and losers of 8 straight. Obviously trading Jimmy Butler was bad for that, but like they have completely fallen off a cliff here, Jack.
They friendly reminder that Tyler Hero is an all-star over Derek White. So something to think about.
Right. Good point.
Now as would you say Tyler Hero is their best player? I guess probably no, him or Bam, right? Then probably tertiary is like Wiggins. Now Wiggins, which is a weird thing to think about. Still Wiggins on the Heat.
Right.
I don't know why. He does fit their scheme well, but like anyway, I'm so glad that now the Heat fans the tweet that keeps resurging, and I'm sure you've seen it, is like oh, Celtics fans are sick. Like they got Kristaps and we're going to get Dame. Like that sucks for them. So now you don't have Dame. You don't have Jimmy. You're barely in the play and you're hanging on by a thread. You're going to have to win 2 games against one of the Hawks or the Magic as it stands right now. And you're not going to do that, quite frankly. I don't care. Like that team right now is sort of like, it's very dysfunctional. I know that is known, and I think it's satisfying to see that, though, right? There's a chance they may not even make the play-in, right? I'm rooting for the Raptors the rest of the way here. Don't don't get me wrong, 5.5 game spread between them and not making the playoffs at all, but even the play-in. But I mean, the validation that I would feel from the crap that they've talked over the last couple of years, and granted, they've earned it. They beat us in that 7-game series, right? But I feel like something about them, like they hate us. They really do not like Celtics fans. So
yeah, well, who does other than other Celtics fans? Sometimes.
Okay. Good point.
Sometimes we hit each other.
That is true too. We're probably going to be number one after winning a championship too. So I get it.
Yeah, I'll never forget leaving the Garden one night after a Bruins game and 2 Bruins fans getting into a fight right in front of me. It was we won. We won what is happening?
That's hockey, man. That's different. Here, everybody's just going to shove each other and call each other names and then get separated by the ref. So.
Oh man. All right. Anything else from the Eastern Conference that you wanted to touch on?
I think nothing too huge. I think will be interesting to see sort of where the Pacers and Bucks finish. I think just in general, right? They're still middle of the pack teams. Pacers obviously made the ECF run last year. Are they going to be able to recreate that? We'll see. Bucks, I think, let's see what Kuzma does. I haven't really seen enough out of him to really say, like, yeah, this is the missing piece. I don't know. That team, the Bucks, to me feels sort of like a fading supernova a little bit. So I would take the Pistons over the Bucks, to be quite frank with you. So I think it'll be interesting to see, again, obviously playoff picture perspective. I think these seeds are all sort of like where they're going to generally be. I'm just excited to see how it plays out. The East is going to be my favorite because obviously we follow it closely, but I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch. Yeah,
no, I agree. I mean, getting down to it, what's it like 13 games left for the Celtics? Doing some quick mental math. That's nothing. It's about to be here, Jack.
Yeah, it is.
It's basically like March Madness ends and the playoffs begin.
Pretty much. And then the playoffs take the course of like 2 months. So there's a lot of good basketball to watch.
We'll be here.
We will be here. 2 months, guarantee you we'll do at least a show or two.
Yeah, at least a couple. Not like last year where we fell off the face of the map despite the Celtics having a run. This year we're back.
We were too invested. That's fine. Right. We were too biased. We didn't want to curse your screens with it. It's fine. We're better. We've grown.
Absolutely. All right, Jack. Anything you want to plug before we get on out of here?
Best place to find me is on Twitter. I'll certainly be tweeting about all this stuff as we get into the playoff picture. You can find me on there at Jack_Tiernan. Also watch our other shows. We've got the Bayou Breakdown with Saints news for the NFL and Around the Diamond for all of our baseball news.
Yeah, we're going to get another Around the Diamond going soon.
You're right.
I don't know if you saw on Instagram, I posted that Cam Ward, the presumed first overall pick, said that it would be a dream to play for the Saints. So we'll see. Maybe the Saints will trade up. And
I wouldn't hate that.
That would be fun.
If we trade Derek Carr for that pick, I would die. I would take anything.
Yeah, so we got to keep an eye on that. I think Cam Ward is going to be a very exciting player.
Agreed.
And I think that'd be very exciting if he did go to the Saints because, they need the next guy there, right? It's not Derek Carr. They tried. It's not Derek Carr.
Nope, that contract is going to lapse. So agreed. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so we'll see there. As for me, follow the main channel where you get everything. I just put a video talking about the college basketball video games and why we need another one now that we're in the world of NIL and what happened to make those go away in the first place. A little history there. And then, our other channels are Those Fake Nerds, which is like this channel, but about video games and movies, pop culture. And our podcasting channel is Better Radio right now. Survivor's on. So we were covering Survivor with the Blindsiders. We just finished up The Traitors, the first season. We covered that. Very successful. So a lot of fun. So please go check all of those out. And other than that, Jack, thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you all in the next one.